Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. I've got some pro-level custom 1v1 action coming away this afternoon, chaps. I know you're excited. First of all, it's been a while since I've done it. I know you'll bear with me because it's all for a good cause. Going out to my newer subscribers, hello and welcome first of all. Fantastic to have you on board. And if you like what you're looking at, guys, but you're not 100% sure what it is you are looking at, the game is Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. Not, I repeat, not Supreme Commander 2. It's available on Steam for £10 or $15 US or whatever the equivalent is in your local currency. And all you need to do to come join us here at FAF, it doesn't matter if you have a retail copy or a digital download edition from Steam, all you need to do to come play with us is once you have that game installed, download the Forged Alliance Forever multiplayer client. And you can find a link to that in the description below this video. What will that help me do, Gyle? Well, it's quite simple. Thank you for asking the question. It'll allow you to chat online in the amazing, beautiful lobby system. It will allow you to browse our replay vaults, our forums, our mod vaults, watch live replays, and of course play with us on any of a number of custom hardwired, built-in encoded mods, all set up there free of charge thanks to Zepp and his wonderful cohort of techies. There you go, job done. We can roll out with today's action. Like I said, it's going to be a custom 1v1 and it's all going to go down on open palms, so hold on to your potatoes as we go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Love me some open palms. Seen a lot of this recently thanks to the Grandmasters Cup. Seems to be quite a popular choice in the group stages. Let's take a look at our players. Going first up here at the top in, I'm pretty sure it's still Hallie Orange. It's looking more and more like putrid peach to me these days. But going up here anyway, it's Zock, or Zock as we more commonly know. He's cast aside his filthy Cybran in honor of a little bit more less filthy Seraphim. Not much in it, but never mind. And he's opened first land, second land, and his opponent down here at the bottom right in Vivacious Violet, it's Chevalier, who's also going Seraphim, opening first land, second air. So a little bit of variation on their opening builds there. And the fact that this is going, they're both going Seraphim, I'm not 100% sure when this was played. I'm wondering if this isn't a little bit of training for Chevalier, because of course not only have we had or got the Grandmasters Cup going on at the moment, but at the weekend, what was it? Yeah, I think it was Saturday, Mad Mozart also hosted King of Seraphim. He's doing a faction tourney every single week for the next 4 weeks or so. Don't know whether it's Cybran on Cybran next, but anyway, this week just gone with Seraphim. And although Zock didn't enter, Chevalier did. I haven't seen the results yet, but I'm just wondering if this is something to do with a little bit of training. But it doesn't necessarily hold up my theory because this wasn't one of the core maps, or one of the maps that was chosen. So, but I mean, you know, gets Chevalier used to facing off against Cybran. So it might all just be complete rubbish. It might have just been a custom 1v1 where everyone went random for the sake of it, and everyone happened to end up with Seraphim. But there you go, you have it, you have my speculation, it's out there, I can't take it back. First bomber out from Chevalier, and first couple of units heading south from Zock at the same time. Chevalier sending a Tham and a Selene up either side of the central plateau. They are going to lock on to one of the Thams from Zock. Zock could do a lot worse than to kill off that Selene. He's actually going to manage both of them. Beautiful bit of micro work there from Zock. Love his work. One kill already on that bomber. Not sure whether or not that was an NG. But Zock going to continue to press. Going to struggle to kill the mexes, but he has managed to take out the engineer that was working on those mexes, so that will slow expansion out there. We have got a kill up here for Chevalier. He's taken down a Tham, and see any wrecks for engineers or anything yet, so Zock hadn't already expanded out that way. 3 kills now on that bomber. Another engineer vulnerable, takes that out. 4 kills on that one and 4 on the other as well. So Chevalier doing nice work here with the airplay. Zock was working on his air factory as well when the engineer got bombed. Another one spat out nice and quickly to finish it off, but that will slow the arrival of those initial interceptors. Meanwhile, bombers move away to try and pick off some other expanding NGs, and there's certainly one vulnerable here. Zock could do with a bit of micro, but he doesn't spot it in time. Down goes the engineer. Chevalier doing some great work early on here. Zock looking to move out with his ACU, moving up to this hydro here, going to throw down a couple of land factories. Chevalier countering nicely on the other side with his comms, also moved forward, picking up the 4th mechs at that starting location now before working on another land factory of his own. And quite a lot of ground activity going on already in this one. A lot in it. FAMs going down on either side, but Zock's micro, as always, pretty impeccable, making it count where he can. Another engineer down. 7 kills on that bomber. If that's all engineers, he's done very well for himself. Certainly, that other bomber seems to have been shot down by now, but he had at least 4 or 5 at last count. Little run by over here in the east, meanwhile, from Zock. 4 FAMs on the field, working on that second mechs there. First one already dispatched, and Zock is going to split it up here, take one in to the starting location here, but that is a bad place to be if your purpose is to continue breathing. Chevalier's ACU lying in wait swats that without any real difficulty. 3 FAMs from that little eastern block, though, still alive. They head south, going to pick off another one, and 2 more getting in around the back. As yet, not something that Chevalier has gone for, but of course engineers are on the way, splitting them up here. One coming to the left and the other going to come south. If he doesn't clear those FAMs out at the back, though, that engineer won't be getting anything done once it arrives. However, look at the aggression from Zock, right up front with his ACU and his T1, blapping structures as he goes. A nice aggressive play here, and despite the early work from Chevalier in the sky, the early bombing raids, picking off all those engineers, this little push from Zock is going to go some way to mitigate that. Chevalier on 27 mass per tick, Zock on 31 mass per tick at current standing. Not a great deal in it, but certainly Zock with a minor advantage for the moment. And Zock's going to take a moment of respite here to throw up a land factory, and also, if he can manage to get it, a unit of T1 PD as well. Take a look at what that looks like from Chevalier's point of view. He's well aware of what's going on. He's going to see Zock's ACU casually sitting there building stuff, and he's going to be very concerned about it. Certainly I would be if I were in his position. A little bit of a run by this time from Chevalier over in the west. What looks to be about 7 or 8 FAMs over here, going right the way around the back, and now we've got potentially 4 mexes in jeopardy and an engineer up there at the back. Zock trying to shadow that group of units with his own, and that means he's probably going to drag all of those up here, leaving not a great deal on the field up front. Still, Chevalier needs to be a little bit concerned about what's going on down here. That T1 PD unit does get completed, although it's taken a few rounds of Zooey fire as Chevalier has rolled past that light artillery fire, and it's only going to take 1 or 2 more, of which one is incoming as we speak, to immediately brush that aside. And this could be the end of Zock's little base that he's just erected here. See where he's actually planning to go. He's actually coming up here for reclaims. It looks like he's bugging out as yet, but you need to be careful early on, especially if you haven't got access to overcharge, which Zock doesn't have. Not only does he not have the energy storage, he's suffering slightly from some power issues right now, and it can really turn around on you quick. You get swamped by 15 or 20 tanks, and suddenly your ACU has a hard time getting out alive. But Chevalier not flooding the region with T1 as yet. He's got a pretty decent group up here, but he's more concerned with keeping Zock's frontiers pushed back towards his main base than going for an ACU kill that he's not guaranteed to get. Of course, this information about Zock's lack of overcharge not available to Chevalier. Bodies of units here shadowing one another. Occasional round of Zooey fire coming in from Chevalier. And Decent micro from Zock, avoiding that fire. And we've already got a few engineers landing on both plateaus simultaneously in top right and bottom left corners. Chevalier going for the ridges on this one. It's also tearing across the central plateau as we speak, knocking down an engineer and going to be killing off mechs as well. Chevalier making pretty good strides here, but is still behind in mass, 39 to 50 current value. Let's take a look at Reclaim. 2,428 banks so far for Zock, and Chevalier 1,400. So Zock ahead in both Reclaim and generated mass. Chevalier was looking like he was maybe trying to get another run by on there, but he switched and brought in this second group of units to assist this ailing group down here, which has been thinned out quite dramatically. Zock on the move with his ACU once again. Get back here and pick up some more of these mexes. Not a lot of engineers build capacity on the field down here, so he's got to use his comm as and where he can to re-online these mexes, so to speak. We have got T2 on the field for Chevalier, starting to produce Ilshevers. That's the HQ. But look at this incursion down this side here from Zock. This is looking like a tough little fortification to dislodge. One of the PD taken down already, of course, but there's another one in play, and of course that land factory. Radar taken out there. Nice bombing run by Chevalier. Once again, units that Chevalier had in the area swept aside by large numbers. T1 transport under fire there with some intercepts carrying an Ilshever. Not sure where the LZ was for that one, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't in those trees in a smouldering pile of rubble. Is nonetheless where it's ended up. Let's see how Zock's doing on the tech side of things. He's transitioned into T2 as well. Ilshever's emerging on the field for him. Fractionally behind Chevalier in tech. Of course, ahead on actual eco, and a large group of units for Zock coming in around the back. That's going to threaten these three mexes, and of course potentially 4, 5 and 6 up here. We complete the full circuit. Forward unit of PD taken down by Zock right at the front of Chevalier's base, and his group of Zooies now putting pressure on these outer land factories. See how quickly they get taken down, but a blast of T2 PD fire comes in and just sears its way through those Zooies, takes them out in no time whatsoever. They are, however, successful in dispatching one of those T1 land factories, and a large push, meanwhile, from Chevalier in the west. Could do with sneaking forward just a touch, taking out that build capacity, working on that unit of PD. That would be ideal. Factory down in the meantime. Nice unit composition here from Chevalier. T1 Thams, Zooies, and Ilshevers. One of the engineers is taken out, but they're successful at taking down the structure nonetheless. And that has hurt Zock's defenses on that side quite significantly. But Chevalier needs to burn this infection right out of the map here. This is far too close to his main base. He's going to be much more comfortable now that he's got these units of point defense, and there's some decent T2 PD. 15.5 minutes gone in this one so far. Zock still way ahead in eco, and that is in no small part thanks to this little grab he's made down here. We could at least see a bit of a push now from these units at the side. He's got to be thinking about sandwiching them. Now is the ideal time. There's another group of units coming in from Zock, though. Timing is going to be crucial on this one. One unit of PD left in this little group of structures, remember. This looks like it could be the end of it, but it has certainly lasted well, and it's given Zock a nice advantage eco-wise quite some time. So not a bad little ploy to be hyper aggressive with your ACU and establish a little base. Chevalier stood strong, however, did not withdraw his ACU from that side. I think he probably could have done, but who knows what would have happened once Zock was homed in on that ACU's location. This side probably would have been hit with significantly larger force. But Zock now in control in the center and pushing back on the sides. Yes, he's lost this little section up here. New fortification in place down here with these two mexes. A couple of mexes in play and one unit of PD. However, that is now threatened by a couple of Zuis turning up on the scene. Chevalier determined not to take out his ACU from this right-hand side, and TAC missile launcher in the center right by Zock's comm, taking down that forward T2 land factory. We got any TAC missile defense in the main base? Yes, we have. So the main base is safe. Zock could stick it to him slightly if he starts going for mexes with that puppy. He's going to be thinking about broader TMD defense. Another push from Zock, who this time has decent amounts of T2 in the mix. Lots of Ilshivers up front. Zock coming right down the side of the map in great numbers. Chevalier trying to wheel in around the side. Lacking a little bit of firepower. Yes, we've got some bombers overhead. It's not getting the job done at the moment. And we've actually got an upgrade from Chevalier, who's going to T3. This is a risky play. He's under pressure, and this upgrade will give him tech advantage, of course. However, it's going to stifle his unit production. It's going to sap a lot of his resources in the meantime. Zock still firmly entrenched in T2, happy at that stage for the moment. Of course, that will all change the minute the T3 units start rolling off the production line, assuming, of course, they get that far. There's a lot of orange units on Chevalier's doorstep right here, right now. Chevalier moving towards the central plateau with his ACU, and Zock wheeling right towards the eastern flank. He might have to bring his ACU back to assist his eastern army. 79 to 53 in favor of Zock. Attack missile launching. As he's going after Chevalier's comm. Yes, he was, but Chevalier had spotted that. Perfect timing to fly overhead with his interceptors and engage in an airfight. Good intel on what was coming his way. Going to be losing half of your HP on your ACU because it was just inviting attack. But that T3 has been completed, and it's actually Suthanus. Sorry, no, excuse me, it's Otham's on the field, not Suthanus. Siege tanks in play. But the attack from Zock already underway, sweeping aside all four of the mexes at that top right starting location. And there is the Suthanus that was under production, sorry. And he's producing more as well. Interesting, he's not going mass siege tank. He's going to try and outrange these forces from Zock. Point defense firing occasionally as Zock's forces stray into range. .95 to 31 now in favor of Zock. shells landing from that T3 artillery. Those large alpha strikes coming in from those siege tanks, issuing large amounts of pain towards those Bolshevers. And credit where credit is due. Chevalier down to the ridges and his main base and the tiny space in front of his main base. Zock pretty much in command everywhere else. 89 to 31. That is a huge advantage. And how are we doing? Are we seeing a T3 on the way? Yes, we are. 40% complete from Zock. He's got a little way to go. Can Chevalier capitalize on this by retaining or reacquiring, I should say, a little bit more map control? So Bolsheviks getting some rep work there by a couple of engineers. Terrible place to be standing, really eating Southerner's fire. Chevalier pushing in the east, and now we do indeed have T3 on the field for Zock, who immediately starts work on some siege tanks of his own. Zock with his radar taken offline there, to sort out his power grid, I guess. A large fortification was planned down here from Zock, but he's not going to be able to get that online. Chevalier moving in with a nicely timed push there, forcing Zock off the position before he can establish any kind of defense. Zock in danger of being evicted from this rear position as well, behind Chevalier's main base. No way to counter the T1 bomber spam that's incoming. 25 minutes gone in this one, and Zock still way out in front on eco. Chevalier has managed to get a decent number of T3 units onto the field, though, and is slowly reacquiring a little bit of map control. First few siege tanks are being moved out east for Zock. He's actually already got enough now up here to force Chevalier back once again if he attacks now. Second fortification planned, but these Southerners, just the one at the moment over at this side, but 38 kills on that bad boy. Sits underneath the Athena, the mobile shield gen, and really not having a counter for it at the moment. For Otham's inbound. Needs to be a little bit concerned about what's happening up here. Zock looked like he was pushing east with his ACU for a moment there, but he brings it back over here. His power grid continues constructing T2 P-gens. This time it's Zock's turn for a bit of a counter push. That mobile shield gen affording some decent cover. Engagements on both sides. West now going well for Chevalier, east going well for Zock, so we're going to have a bit of a wheeling effect inbound now. Take a close look on both of these two engagements. That's a bad place to land your planes, Chevalier, who lifts them off just in time. Take a little bit of extra flak fire from the Ioshivas. Couple of units of PD. Shouldn't be too much problem though. This group of units often blap away as the shield gen absorbs most of the fire, and so I'm not going to continue to press over on this side. Bit of a discussion happening in game now. Looks like game at this point must have been lagging. More Suthanus fire inbound. Lovely strike there from Chevalier. 6 kills on that first round, I believe. Zock is going to have to be mobile with this force. Not having any artillery of his own, so not going to be able to fire back. Rogue siege tank coming in from the east there. Zock's ACU under the cover of shield gen. What is Zock doing on power? Well, he's doing pretty well. Fully stored up, overcharged, ready to go. Looks like we're going to see Zock using that aggressively now. Just picking off units as he goes, and it looks like he's got the gun upgrade as well. T2 engineering suite, proton accelerator. It's a nasty little group of units. Seven kills for Zock's ACU so far. T1 bombers still operating for Chevalier. Getting a huge amount done with them though. Zock comes in and cleans them up. Some of his inties. ACU looking dangerous still. I mean, he hasn't got that many units surrounding him, but the shield coverage is protecting the ACU, and the overcharge is just too much of a threat. Chevalier not able to contend with it. Now, once again, the east looking a little bit stronger for Chevalier. It's very to and fro, and it's evened up a lot. 66 to 61 currently in favor of Chevalier, and then on to 61-61. So there is barely anything between these two guys now in terms of generated mass. 28,000 banks so far in reclaim for Zock. 37,000 bank for Chevalier, who's really capitalized on all of the action that's gone on around his base, and is probably more than likely what has allowed him to get back into this, coupled with, of course, the nice timing on that T3 factory, getting those units out in the nick of time, otherwise it just wouldn't have happened. Zock continuing to press in the west, ACU in tow. The trouble is, with Chevaliers, he's losing on numbers as well. It's no longer just the ACU that's winning it on this side. There are more Othams, coupled with a whole lot of Ilshivas in play here for Zock on this side of the map. Suthanus still in operation in the east, just picking off the occasional unit there around the plateau. Interesting, we haven't seen Zock try to make a play for the ridges cool throughout this one, but it has been a very action-packed game. These guys haven't really had time to stop. Zock getting a little bit of a defensive station online, a couple of units of PD in play. And if he wants to creep towards this base down here, I don't think he has to actually. He can just steam in with the siege tanks. Down it goes. Chevalier's ACU still casually sitting in his base. Chevalier forced again to yield more ground in the west. Cannot seem to stem the tide of this push. Beautiful overcharge, 4 units down, shield depleted. Resistance just crumbling before Zock, and Chevalier forced to counter push up here at the top. Shield gen drops down first. Zock follows not long after. Victory on the ground for Chevalier, but he's got to be more concerned with this right on his doorstep. Doesn't have a great deal of PD. He's got these 3 units that he made earlier. There's no shielding up front whatsoever. Large interceptor engagement over the top of Zock's base. Tough to say who's got the better of it as they zigzag in between one another. Looks on paper like Zock has got this one. Quite a considerable margin in the end. Of course, there is that Sinather, that static flak that engagement took place over the top of, and Zock pouring down the central plateau now with a whole column of siege tanks going for what must be the final push. And Chevalier is actually pushed up here at the top. There's a wide open door there as well. We're going to have to keep track of these 2 engagements that are going to go on simultaneously. Zock has paused a whole lot of stuff down here. Just to make sure, I'm sure that the mobile shield gens keep their shields online, although they are about to be depleted. But all of the units of T2 PD have been destroyed up front. Chevalier is bringing what offense he had in the area back into the main base. Chevalier's ACU still sitting in the middle there. He's producing gunships from that T2 air factory, but all the while, this column of units up top from Chevalier just waltzing into Zock's base completely unmolested. Zock is going to have to finish this here and now. He's beaten up around here. He's got nothing left on this side. There are units pushing in at the back, and his main base is in tatters. But look how strong this play is in the center of Chevalier's base. Chevalier's comm is completely tied in. There is nowhere to go at all. He is bringing in a T2 transport, however. He must be thinking about evacuating his comm, but the interceptors from Zock incoming now. Chevalier moving back up towards the transport. This is going to be really close. I don't think he's left enough time to be able to make it out. Zock's main base has been more or less completely destroyed as all 4 of his core mexes go up. Chevalier taking a lot of fire now, and down goes that T2 transport. He is not going to make it out of there, and an unbelievable finish. Zock takes the game. That is unreal. Look at that. Zock's base was completely destroyed, so more or less a base trade going on. Unfortunately, Chevalier's comm happened to be in his base and outnumbered. Very nice game indeed. Good play from both of these guys. Well, I'm not sure whether that was training or not for any of the tourneys, but that would certainly go some way to give you some good training if it was. But I hope you enjoyed that, guys. More to come from me as always in the future. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle signing out.